Our travel agent gave advice. It's MSC, don't go. If you, like us, ignore her words, here's what you'll need to know. Welcome back to My Travel Window, where we hope you go as far as you can while you still can. My wife and I have been on a half a dozen different cruise lines in almost a dozen locales. But today we're going to talk about the cruise line that's the most different from all the rest. And I'm going to give you 9 unique features that collectively describe just how different it is. As I mentioned in the opening poem, we approached our travel agent with the idea of booking a Mediterranean trip with MSC, and she did her best to try and talk us out of it. You should know that none of the 9 unique features discussed here were the reason, but it would be a 10th difference, which has to do with MSC's customer service process. Unlike other cruise lines, MSC does not have special access for travel agents to be able to step in and resolve problems, and our agent was uncomfortable booking a trip when she was powerless to correct problems that might occur. But our goal is to try and experience lots of different cruise lines, and we were willing to take the risk as to what would happen. So we took her off the hook and we booked the trip directly with MSC ourselves. So with the tip of my hat to Emma of Emma Cruises, each of these unique features will use the letters MSC, because these are the things to which this line is committed. All of these features are based on our 2023 sailing in the Mediterranean on the MSC seashore on this route. Uniqueness number 1, multiple starting cruise ports. Every port is an embarkation port. The itinerary for our 7-day cruise is 6 ports of call and 1 sea day. For any other cruise line, this circuit would represent a single cruise, most likely Rome to Rome. But for MSC, this is 6 different cruises. There's a 7-day Rome to Rome, a 7-day Genoa to Genoa, a 7-day Marseille to Marseille, etc. In other words, this ship just keeps circling this same route all summer like a never-ending bus loop. And at every stop, new people will get on the ship for a 7-day cruise, and a comparable number of people will exit. One of the joys of this approach is that embarkation and disembarkation are a breeze. We made 2 brief stops on our way to get on the ship, 1 for luggage and 1 to get our key card. The line was never more than 10 people. We were on the ship in under 15 minutes. No sitting, no waiting anywhere. It was incredible. This also means that the passengers around you are constantly changing. Some people will share the ship with you for 7 days, but most will be less than that. Different, but nice once you accommodate. Okay, on to uniqueness number 2. Many silly children. Kids sail free on MSC. What I mean by that is their policy is kids that are 18 and under who stay in the same cabin with their parents sail for free. This dramatically changes the demographics of the ship. We were sailing during the school year, so there weren't many school-aged children, but there were preschoolers everywhere, and an abundance of multi-generational families, grandparents, parents, and young children. We saw more strollers around this ship than we saw on the previous half-dozen cruises put together. The ship also has an indoor Disney-esque jungle pool that's targeted for youngsters, and it's just outside the buffet. Midday, this is a wild, super active place. Needless to say, we avoided it as much as possible. So, are you seeing just how different things are aboard ship? Let's move on to uniqueness number 3. May stop your contract. In other words, you can leave the cruise ship early. Just as every stop is an embarkation point, every stop can also be a disembarkation point. All the cruises are designed to be 7-day outings, but MSC will allow you to disembark early, which we did. Since the cruise contract is 7 days, they call this process breaking your contract. But it's a simple matter of signing a form that says you don't get any money back, you're doing this voluntarily, and you won't hold the cruise line responsible for any costs you incur, like an extra night in a hotel. In our case, once the original cruise ended, we would need to travel to Nice, France. Getting there from Rome was going to be a lengthy and complicated process. But we realized that if we could disembark in Genoa, one stop early, we'd be much closer, we'd save time and money in the process. We were free to get off the ship any time during the day, so we actually waited until after lunch to leave. It was a nice feature. Okay, that brings us to number 4, which is not quite so friendly. Let's call this meal start compromise. You can't pick your dining time or your dining room. MSC has multiple main dining rooms that serve the same menu but have different ambiance. But you can't choose which one you like, or what seating time you like. And you may not be able to make a change if it doesn't work for you. When you register, you can request an early dining time or a late time. Choose wisely. At embarkation, you're assigned to a specific dining room, a specific table, and a specific time. We've seen notes from other people who tried to change their assignment and were unable to do so. I'm not sure if that's always true. In that case, the only option would be to go to a buffet, because there are no other dining venues other than the main dining rooms or the buffet, unless you want to go to a specialty restaurant. This is a huge difference from most other lines. Fortunately for us, we were assigned a 6 o'clock time, which is a time we liked. We thoroughly enjoyed our waiter, we enjoyed the people who were seated around us, but I can see this ruining the cruise for some people. Now, I suspect the reason for the change is that people are getting on and off every day, and they need to keep the dining rooms and times balanced, so they want to have discretion to move you around to a place that will work for the entire ship. Let's move on to uniqueness number 5. Main show confirmation. You need reservations for all shows in the main theater. It's become common for cruise ships to institute a reservation system for some of the more popular shows, and the process on MSC is very easy. It takes maybe 2 minutes on the MSC app. But MSC required it for every main theater show every night, and they have people at the door scanning your cruise card to see if you're good to go. To go along with this is uniqueness number 6 regarding the main shows themselves. They're shorter than shows we've seen on other ships, and they're done more times. But before I get to these final 4 uniquenesses, let me invite you to subscribe to our channel. If you love learning about cruises, you want to know before you go, then this is a place for you. Thank you in advance. So, number 6 we're going to call music, stunts, and contortions. The shows each night were 35 minutes long, usually 3 times a night, and they're all variety shows. We had seen reviews of MSC Entertainment before, and we were a little concerned about what it might be like. Most cruise lines have a different type of show each night. Maybe one night would be a musician, a comedian, a juggler, maybe a play or a dance troupe. They're typically about an hour and are shown twice a night, the early show and the late show. MSC shows, by contrast, are short, 35 minutes each. They usually play 3 times a night, and they're all a mix of singing, dancing, and acrobatics. As one guest put it, quote, "They simply change the costumes and the staging, and the same people perform every night." That's mostly true. I told my wife it's like what the old Ed Sullivan show would be like today if it continued to evolve from the 1960s. Having said that, we enjoyed the shows immensely. The production quality was excellent, the performers were talented. Nights typically revolved around country themes, French follies, Italian music, historic American music. There was a fantasy play that seemed to appeal to both kids and grown-ups. All shows were family friendly. And the acrobats were simply amazing. Ironically, the American music was our least favorite. Perhaps it was the scene from The Singer in a cowboy hat in front of an Arizona desert landscape singing Country Road about West Virginia. Never been there, have you? Each night the show was introduced by the cruise director in 6 different languages. So the next uniqueness is massive speech confusion. All announcements throughout the entire ship are given in the same 6 languages: English, French, German, Portuguese, Spanish, and Italian. And, judging by the applause to the cruise director announcements for each show, there were a sizable number of each language group aboard the ship. What that means is you never know how to greet people in the hallways, and you have only a small portion of the clientele with whom you can easily communicate. I engaged in more than one charades-like interchange and was always relieved when I found a passenger who spoke English. The crew can all communicate in English, so service was typically not affected. Ready for an oddity? Uniqueness number 8. Minimal slurping choices. Beer or wine is available with dinner, but no hard drinks. Now, we don't order alcohol with dinner, but others at our table often do, and they were shocked to discover that the main dining rooms do not serve mixed drinks. It's not a function of your drink package, it's simply that bars don't service the main dining rooms. Not a carnival ship, is it? To cap off our review, the 9th and final difference, and it's a technology uniqueness. I'm not sure this is on all MSC ships, but it certainly impacted our ship. We'll call it magic ship conveyances. Smart elevators. Inside the elevators, you will find no floor choices. That's because on the outside, there's a keypad in which you choose the floor you're going to, and it responds with which of the 4 elevators in that block is the one that you will take. When you get in, the display on the inside tells you all the stops this particular car is going to make. This means you don't have to constantly search for which elevator to take and then pick a different one when you find out that one's completely full. When demand is low or moderate, it works spectacularly. It's fast and you're often riding alone. When demand is high, you have the same issue that happens on other cruise ships. The car never seems to come. But overall, I think it works better than other ships. We came into this cruise expecting it to be different. And as you can see just from these 9 things, it was. And I'm not counting the things like the parties that start at 11:30 at night. So for us, this wasn't bad. In fact, the food, the entertainment, and the service were better than we expected and comparable with most other ships. We'll feature a walkthrough of the ship itself on the next video, but it was beautiful. Are any of these deal breakers for you? Leave a comment below. In the meantime, safe travels.